We have so much new news for 2025 already, and it's actually crazy. The first one is we have a new weekly dividend paying ETF, which is YBTC. Starting in January, it will be paying weekly, which is phenomenal. I have already moved some funds into the Moomoo account where I'm tracking all the other weekly dividend payers. So we are going to be buying that one relatively soon to try and get that first dividend. Now, in other news, we now have XDTE, QDTE, and RDTE from RoundHill. Their 3 weekly paying dividend ETFs have surpassed $1 billion in combined AUM, or assets under management, and that was December 9. I'm even late on the news. It is wild. I'm very, very, very pleased. We know that these funds have been doing really well, and it is still crazy to me that they can equal over $1 billion and still rising. So YBTC is only going to add to that. Today in the video, we are breaking down how much you would get in dividends from YBTC if you were to purchase $10,000 worth of shares. So we're going to do a full breakdown. We're going to look at the fund on the RoundHill's website. We're going to check out the drip calculator. That blew me away, actually. I was very surprised. You know, we know Bitcoin's been doing well, but I was very, very surprised. We're going to check out the distribution history. It's going to shift to weeklies, which will make a big difference, but I want to see how it has been paying and the yield. And then we are going to throw all of that into a dividend reinvestment calculator and see how rich we'll be after investing $10,000 in 5, 10, 15, even 20 to 30 years with YBTC. So I hope you guys enjoy. If you like this type of content, if you like weekly dividend ETFs or just high yielding stocks and ETFs, you're in the right place. Don't forget to like and subscribe. It helps me out a ton. We're almost to 5,000. I'm hoping to hit 5,000 by the end of 2024. So if you guys can help me with that, that'd be great. Let's roll the intro. The first thing I want to note with this is the exposure to Bitcoin through YBTC. Now, if you guys are like me, dividend investors, it can be hard to find some good Bitcoin dividend type ETFs or stocks. And me personally, Bitcoin is all over the place. And I mean, it has been the last couple of years, but we are near all-time highs. So it's hard for me to buy things at all-time highs and not see immediate reward. So this one being a weekly payer is really going to help me with that. So again, similar to some of the other ones, it's YBTC seeks to generate weekly income through a covered call strategy on Bitcoin. I'm assuming it's the same 0 days till expiration call types with Bitcoin. And Bitcoin is volatile. It is up super, super heavily now, so we might even see more volatility in the near future. I don't know if 2025 is going to be a bad year for crypto. I'm not a crypto investor myself. I mean, I have crypto, but I don't consider I'm a stock market investor through and through. We do know that YBTC is actually, it is actively managed, which we've seen with these weeklies, and they're usually more expensive. We see an expense ratio of 0.95%, which is less than I was expecting. It is still high, but it's not as high as we've seen with like YMAG and YMAX, and the AUM is still only 78 million, which is low. You know, I would expect that to grow pretty heavily once they switch to the weeklies like we saw. I don't think we've seen a RoundHill fund switch to weeklies. We've seen them start off as weeklies, but I think this is the first one that's converting to a weekly pair. Compared to like YieldMax, both of those were monthlies and then switched to weeklies, but RoundHill all started off weeklies, I believe. So they're boasting a near 41% distribution rate, which is wild. That's insanely good, higher than both of the YieldMax funds. And here's where we know that they are going to the weekly, switching to weeklies, I should say, is the distribution calendar. So the declaration day is the 27th, and then the 31st, and then the 8th, and then the 15th. So they are converting. They always want you to sign up. And that's basically all I'm looking at on the website so far. We're going to look at the distribution history, but we'll pull it up and see if it's been anything crazy or anything to note specifically, because I'm not even sure. I am relatively new to this one, and I think it is a relatively new fund. Yeah, 1130. So it hasn't been out for that long, but they do have it as a 41% distribution rate, which is wild. I'm very happy about that. Let's check out the distribution history, and then we'll throw it into a drip calculator. So we can see on seekingalpha.com, I hate their pop-up ads. I hate pop-up ads in general. They drive me insane. But we can see that the dividend history, they had a crazy $4 dividend in March, and then it kind of trailed off the low of 91, low of 88 cents, and then it bounced back. I'm surprised the dividends haven't increased as Bitcoin has gone up. I guess the price has just increased and the dividends have kind of stayed the same. But we can see them kind of all over the place. You get the amount, the adjusted amount, which are actually usually pretty close. So not bad. We've had roughly 1 year full of dividends. I'm curious how the assets under management increase because they've switched to the weekly. So they have it at a 38% dividend yield. So I'm going to use the 40% for the calculation because it seems pretty accurate. And we have a $20.52 distribution rate. Sorry, $20.52 distribution so far, which is crazy. And again, it hasn't even been, they need one more and it'll be one full year. So $20 per share is pretty crazy. And if the NAV is not dropping, that is something that I would be so interested in. The really important factor now, let's check out the drip calculator and see how well this thing has done. We are on dividendchannel.com's drip calculator. I always give credit to them because I really like this thing. And so we can see since the inception of the fund in January 18 of 2024, you are up. Total return is 65.97% with dividends reinvested and 53% with dividends not reinvested. So that's a pretty good difference. You're looking at a 12% difference in your return with your increasing dividends over time with that drip being on. So I think dripping this one might be a good idea. We have seen it spike recently, of course, because Bitcoin's price has gone up so nicely, and it does give you that exposure to Bitcoin, which I think can be nice for investors that want dividends but also want to own Bitcoin. So when people ask, do you own any Bitcoin? I can say, yes, I do. I think that's really cool. I think it's different. I think it's something that you could use to really change your portfolio around. I'm not sure how Bitcoin does bear market versus bull market. We've kind of seen it follow the stock market, even though it's not really supposed to or it wasn't designed to do that. It often does if people are selling off in the stock market. Crypto usually sells off, just in my experience from what I've seen. So I think it's really interesting how this thing could be something you could add to your portfolio with, I don't want to say relatively little risk, but at least more diversification. Now we're going to plug all of this into our calculator and see how much money you would make if you had $10,000 invested into YBTC right now. So I want to test something really quick here. You guys know I usually go all the way up to like 30-something years because I think it's cool to see how you could do with a retirement account. But let's just see the difference between weekly and monthly distribution frequencies, right? So the important thing, your ending balance is $15,006.59 with your distribution frequency being weekly. When you convert that to monthly and calculate it, you're down. Now, you're not down by much. What, $75? That makes a huge difference over time. A huge difference over time. So remember that. And that's the power of these weekly funds. Because people will say in the comments, and you are wrong, I guess. And I don't mean to say that in a harsh way, but it is incorrect to state that there's no difference between distribution frequency weekly and monthly. It only matters with drip. So you're right in a sense, because if you're not having drip on, it really doesn't make a difference. You get your money sooner. But if drip is on, it makes a massive difference. And that's why I like these for the long run. Even if they don't perform like super, super well or as good as they're boasting they will, that power of compounding weekly is crazy. So after 1 year, like we saw, you have a $15,000 balance with $10,000 invested. So you've made a crazy return in a very short period of time. And now your annual dividend income is $7,513 because that drip, it is very powerful. After 5 years, also, let's remember, this is very speculative. This is not including dividend increases or decreases. It's just based off the yield we've had for the past 11 months. We're not taxing it, and we're not including any NAV erosion. Now, we've seen NAV erosion not nearly as bad with the RoundHill funds, but we've seen it a lot with the YieldMax funds and especially the Defiance ETFs that have been destroying our account because they have such bad NAV erosion. So just remember, this is very speculative, and it's just cool to see how well you could do. And I'll do the calculation monthly versus weekly again at the end. But so let's see, after 5 years of invested, with just $10,000 invested, you're now ending balance of $76,000 for a 661% return, which is insane. Your total dividends to this point have been $53,800, and now your annual dividend income is $38,000. So you're really able to climb quickly with that compounding. When we jump it up to 10 years, you're now at $580,000 off your $10,000 investment, a 5,700% return. Annual dividend income is now $290,000, and your total dividend over the last 10 years is $463,000. We're going to kick it all the way up to 20, and it should send us right into the millions pretty easily. $10,000 after 20 years invested at a 40.75% return rate with drip on and distributions weekly gets you $33.5 million. It's insane. Your annual dividend income is now $16.8 million a year, and your total dividend payments over the last 20 years are just over $27 million. Now, you guys know I love this calculation. 30 years. Let's say you're 25, you want to retire at 55, and you have all your money in a tax-exempt account, and I think it's 59.5 where you can pull out the money, so it's a little bit of a jump. But still, 30 years invested, $10,000 when you were 25. You want to pull it out at 55 and just recoup all the money you've had. Drip was on. You never touched the account. You never logged in to see what it was doing. And after 30 years, your $10,000 becomes $1.4 billion. Sorry, $1.94 billion. Insane. Annual dividend income is now $972,000 million. Goodness, I can't think today. Almost $1 billion a year just in annual dividend income. $973 million. And total dividend payments over the first 30 years is $1.58 billion. This is insane. It's the power of compounding weekly. It's the power of these types of ETFs that are new. They're not tested, and they are definitely higher risk. Let's switch from weekly to monthly. So see the difference. 1.943 billion goes to 1.663 billion. Still a phenomenal return. Like nothing, like we're not super upset about it, right? Like I'm still very, very happy, but it is crazy the difference, and it will factor in over time. And if you do it with your portfolio as a whole, it makes a massive, massive difference. So with all that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you liked this one, check out these two videos linked if you want to see the YieldMax total return or our weekly dividend ETF account. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.